Welcome everyone to Reimagining the Magic. I'm Katie.
I'm Julie.
And this week we are talking about rides in the Disney parks that should be movies. But first, let's bring you some Disney news.
There wasn't much in park news this week. Really all that's going on is they are filming this week at Walt Disney World for those ABC specials. So if you're in town, just be aware that there could be some operational impacts on some of the rides for the next 4 or 5 days.
And they may or may not still be filming some various food-related stuff at Epcot. Because I know that Shoe was filming there for the last 2 months.
Oh, yes, correct. And then in Disney movie news, a Hawaiian language version of Moana will be coming out. And the original voice of Moana, and I apologize if I get her name wrong, Alui Cravajo? Is that how you say her name?
Ali Cravalho.
Okay. She will be reprising her role as Moana, but will be speaking it in Hawaiian this time, and it is being done in conjunction with the University of Hawaii.
Oh, that's pretty cool to hear. Because I don't think Disney's done much in languages that aren't like European.
Right.
Or Chinese.
I think a lot of the movies do come out in other languages, but they aren't localized by Disney.
And also Disney movie news, Thor Ragnarok just dropped this past weekend.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thor is my favorite.
No spoilers, because we haven't seen it yet, but there's a review coming.
Yeah, we will be doing a review on Thor and what we think about that.
Oh, it's so weird to say a Marvel movie is Disney news.
Right. And in sad news this week, we lost the voice of Rafiki. He was, did you say 89 when he passed?
Almost 90.
He passed last week, so definitely going to miss Robert and his amazing portrayal of Rafiki.
Yeah, and we're probably butchering his name, but Robert Guillaume.
Yeah, go look him up. He has a fascinating career. You should definitely look him up and just take a moment to read about everything that he accomplished.
Disney is known for hiring very excellent talent starting in the late 80s, and he's a prime example. Just amazing talent.
So, just so everybody knows, it's like midnight. We're recording this. We had some work conflicts, so I'm sitting here trying not to laugh because it is November, and what that means is where I live, the Canadian geese are coming through, and I just heard a massive flock of them fly overhead, and the fact that I can hear them inside is amazing. We're on their migration route. It's you would not believe how disgusting Canadian geese are.
Oh, they should be guests. Come here, geese.
Right? Well, the problem is because I used to see this because I went to school like 40 miles north of here, and that's where they stop. Like they fly over here, but they actually stop up there, and they would congregate in the Playa Lakes, and like they would just say, anytime the Canadian geese are around, you don't want to go near the water because the water is absolutely filthy, and they would blanket the water. Like you wouldn't be able to see the water. They'd just all be floating on this one tiny little area, and it was gross. And they're loud and they're obnoxious, and it's so funny because I grew up watching Fly Away Home. I loved that movie with the Canadian geese, and I thought it was so cute that she flew her little plane with the goose head on it and was like Mama Goose, and I'm like, man, these things are disgusting.
Once again, we are sponsored by Breach. That's BREACH.TV, your new home for entertainment, gaming, comedy, podcasts, and more. And just recently, they launched an update to the video player, and it's now currently being doubly sponsored by ad revenue, so definitely check it out. We're on there with this podcast, so there's plenty of content on there if you're interested in media.
Right. And we want to thank all of our new followers on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, we are Reimagining the Magic. And on Twitter, I believe we are Reimagine the Magic.
Yes, because there's character limits on certain social media platforms what your title can be.
Right. And I just launched my own Twitter. So if you guys want to follow me, I am author J.A. Yates on there. That's Yeates. You can come follow me. I'm also in the process of writing a novel, so you can follow my frustrations as that as that goes on.
And the creative people we are, we decided this week we're going to talk about all the rides that should be movies. And just for a note, Julia has only been to the Florida property. I've been to both California and Florida, and numerous times for both properties, including like California, before and after California Adventure opened up, and all four parks in the Walt Disney World property numerous times.
Right. So I'm at a bit of a disadvantage on this since I haven't been to the California location, but I'll be trying to piece together what I feel like should be rides from my two trips to the Florida location.
You're pretty confident in how you feel about various attractions in Adventureland and Frontierland that are, understandable Disney staples, regardless of the park you're in.
Right.
And I've having been to multiple parks, I can kind of see what the general public kind of latched on to in that it carried over and stayed in both parks when people were like, and it kind of went to the wayside.
Right. So there are already movies that are very successful franchises that were first a ride and then a movie, most notably Pirates of the Caribbean.
Which then influenced the ride.
Right, which life influencing art, influencing life, or whatever that is. It came full circle.
And now, like, the Pirates ride is getting another change, which has nothing to do with the movies, but is apparently causing a lot of controversy among the long-term diehard Disney fans who have always hated every time that Pirates has probably been like one of the most updated rides, and people get very upset. People, of course, were upset when it got updated for the movie adaptations to it, but most people love it now. But people are always going to complain when it gets updated for political correctness reasons.
Right. I mean, I feel like it is a needed change. I mean, it sure is. It'll be nice not to see the winches being sold. Like, you can keep them there, just don't be selling them. Like, I don't know.
Like, what's wrong with the redhead becoming a pirate? Because back in the day, we have in our history books clear evidence of female pirate captains.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I was actually just reading an article about them the other day.
I was saying, it's like, if you want to go for actual historical accuracy, one of the captains in this big raid that we're going through on the ride should be female.
Mm-hmm.
And I always found it kind of weird because it's like, yeah, we want the redhead is a very popular line, but the joke is she's not even in the auction. That's the joke. The joke is they want one that's not in the auction. She's off to the side, clearly already, an established person. She's not on the bidding line.
Call me what you will. I never picked up on that. Granted, I've only been on the ride twice, but...
This is, like, my background in film showing. Just, like, the staging and the placement. You can kind of get that, because there's, like, the women are all in a row, but the redhead is off to the side and dressed a lot more fashionably, more high class than the other wenches. So,
Isn't she the one selling them?
No, she's next to the auctioneer.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the joke is the drunken dudes want the one that's all, classy and obviously not for sale. And there's a lot of, obviously I have issues with the normalization of selling people, notably women, because of reasons. And
history, look it up.
Especially normalizing it in a way that, kids are laughing at it. Like, I'm probably more PC than most, and I do keep that in mind. But at the same time, there is a reason Disney has decided to go through with that update, and part of it is because of the success of the films and the fact that the female characters are arguably almost as popular as Jack Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we wouldn't have a good, strong emotional conflict without Elizabeth in the first three films, for example.
Correct. I love Elizabeth. When the movie first came out, I just was dying to make a dress like hers for Halloween one year, and it turned out that was a lot of fabric, and we didn't I can't sew. My mom was gonna have to make it, so we ended up getting just like a generic like 17th century like blue dress thing, and I have that.
Do you think with the redhead now becoming a more prominent character on the ride, we'll get a movie about the redhead?
I hope so. I mean, I know that there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Johnny Depp recently, but it sure would be nice if because I know that they were aiming for 6 films. It sure would be nice to finish off the series, maybe branch away from Jack Sparrow and see some other pirates.
It'd be nice because I know Johnny Depp was contracted for 6 films, so if they do this last one as a way to keep the story open ended and possibly doing more in the future, there being a potential new character that could take the mantle.
Right.
That's a possibility.
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean that the Pirates franchise has been wildly successful, despite the strangeness of the last two. The original three will always be my favorite. Even the third one for me, I was like, "Whoa, this movie came out of left field," but it was still better than the two that followed it.
I have to say, I haven't seen the last two. After the third one, I'm like, I'm a trilogy person. I'm like, it's a trilogy. It's done. The end.
Right. And then of course,
didn't Haunted Mansion had a film and people did not like it.
no, I mean, it's not unwatchable. I'll say that. I enjoyed it as a kid, not as much as I enjoyed Pirates, but it is still not a great movie. It's definitely very mediocre.
Certain things from the ride are just going to be hard to recreate in film just because of the passage of time. Like the actress who portrays Madame Leota, she is the person who's the voice of Lady Tremaine in Cinderella and Maleficent. Nowadays, she's kind of, I don't know if she's passed on now or just really, really old. For either reason, it'd be very difficult for her to reprise her role in a film if they did anything but rip the audio that they used for the ride.
Right. And I mean, I felt like the whole like reincarnation angle was a really weird angle to take with it too. So I was like, again, out of left field.
And ride purists would note that the movie story has nothing to do with the ride story.
Yeah, none at all. None whatsoever.
Like they kind of kept, the bride and groom part, but it's supposed to be the bride having killed multiple husbands, assumedly to steal their fortunes. But
Right.
and obviously in the Eddie Murphy movie, it's a very crazed groom who's lost his bride, and there's a reincarnation in the form of Eddie Murphy's wife, and it's really weird.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I prefer the story of the ride because I think that's interesting, kind of like the whole Black Widow going on. But at the same time, I can see where it would not be appropriate for children, and they definitely tried their best to make Haunted Mansion appropriate for children.
It'd be interesting to see Disney try a kind of horror movie.
Hmm. And I think that they have a lot of properties that would work really well for a horror adaptation.
I do need to drop this as kind of sort of Disney news, in that it's been almost a year and Hall of Presidents still hasn't reopened. We haven't had
There's your horror film.
We haven't had this kind of delay with Hall of Presidents, I don't think ever, since they started updating it with each president. I think that started with Clinton in the 90s. They, would put the president pretty quickly. Like, I remember Obama went in pretty quick after
Right.
Bush left office. I'm like, Hmm.
Well, and I wonder if it has anything to do with the uncertainty of whether or not President Trump will be impeached at any time. So, or if he will be forcibly removed from office.
Yeah.
So that could be another reason they're waiting.
We're not saying that for political reasons. It's just kind of, as of recording this, it's been in the news a lot lately. There's a lot of controversy. Currently, as of November 2017, there's a lot of controversy surrounding our president as he's finishing up his first year in office. A lot more than presidents have, arguably, since Nixon. So that's why we're saying this. But also it could just be because Trump is a businessman who had a lot of business relationships, including Disney CEO Bob Iger. They had a falling out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could just be personal.
It could just be Bob Iger like,
Personally, part of me really wants it to be something that petty.
I would like for Bob Iger to be like secretly just salty, because I bet we'd still have the same issue because Eisner's also on the outs with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So like arguably it's just be a whole lot of going on.
But yeah. So as far as other rides that have movies, Tower of Terror has a movie that came out, what, I think in the late 90s?
Early 2000s, something like that, when just Disney Channel just made movies because
Right.
someone was stoned.
Right, starring Steve Guttenberg. I actually happen to really like the Tower of Terror movie. It came out like about what I was about the right age for it, and I happen to adore it, but I also know that it's quite flawed.
I remember like all Disney was like the late '90s into the mid 2000s. I swear, like every year, someone just got really high, wrote a script, and they just made a movie. They just had a budget.
Right,
Like there we go.
right. I mean, and I'm not going to say it was a terrible movie because I think it is as for what it's trying to work with. I think it is a decent adaptation of something that could have happened at the Haunted Mansion, or no, sorry, not Haunted Mansion, Tower of Terror. But I think the other thing we have to look at on that one is it's inspired by the Twilight Zone. So there's a whole other world there.
I have to argue that it's pretty fair to call Terror Haunted Mansion. That's what it is. It's a Haunted Mansion. Go wee.
Right, Haunted Mansion where you go wee. I actually happen to hate free fall rides. I have been on the Tower of Terror once, and I said that was enough. I don't need to do it again.
That's how I remember Tower of Terror. I forgot the name. I would always go the Haunted Mansion where you go wee.
Right. I will say though that Tower of Terror, as far as rides go, was one of my favorite rides aesthetically. As you walked in, like in the waiting areas, I adored it. I thought it was. I'm a huge fan of things where they're just slightly creepy, where it's not like in your face horror. It's more like Uncanny Valley stuff, and that was always what Tower of Terror felt like to me. It was right in that Uncanny Valley that I love.
I get easily triggered by smell, and I always hated going into the lobby Tower of Terror because they smell. There's just smell, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's the smell of mold and mildew.
I hate it so much. I'm like, I don't like this ride. I don't like it. It smells bad. I don't want it.
I
Keep it
do
away.
remember now that you say that, I do remember thinking that, like, hey, this like right when you walk in, it was like it smells weird in here, but I figured it was probably mold or mildew because one, Florida, two, atmosphere, and I'm like, why are you pumping the atmosphere full of things I'm allergic to?
Uh, so rides and also we gotta point out there's so many rides now that are already based on attractions that are attractions based on movies because that's just how Disney is rolling now. We're not
Hmm.
really gonna try to include those. Like there's some just kind of like they're up in the air. Like you can argue there's the the tree house and the Mark Twain riverboat. Like those arguably are kind of like because Disney was a huge fan of those stories when they designed that, but at the same time they've also been movies at some point.
Right. And I guess the last thing we should mention before we start moving on into what we think should be movies, there was like they tried to turn Tomorrowland into a movie, so it's not really a ride, but it's a mini park, a park in a park.
It's a concept. It's an idea.
Yeah, which didn't really work out.
They put George Clooney's in it, and I'm like, you try Disney. Good try.
Right. I'm
Nice
sure that
shorts.
movie cost a lot of money.
B minus effort.
Right. B minus. Hey, gold star, you tried. But yeah, so those are the those are the rides that have movies based on them. So here's other things we were thinking maybe should have movies.
Not Jingle Cruise, Jungle Cruise. Jingle. Right now it's Jingle Cruise, and I hate it.
Like I said, there's only a certain level of camp I can withstand, and that is above my level of camp.
I can't. Okay, so Disney has started in the last decade. Some rides get little mini updates for the holidays. Most notably, the Haunted Mansion in California. But for Halloween through Christmas, that gets a Nightmare for Christmas makeover, which people love. And they started bringing this concept to other rides, like the Space Mountain in California becomes like a spooky space mountain for Halloween. And now both Jungle Cruises for Christmas become Jingle Cruise. And all the jokes get Christmassy, and they put like Christmas stuff all throughout the attraction. No. If they do decide to do a movie, I want it to be not during the holidays because
Right.
I don't want Christmas and my cheesy adventure through adventure. I don't want it.
Right.
I don't want it. And we already decided that the ideal cast, it just needs to be The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock has to be in this movie. Like, play the lead, play the captain. Just, it needs to be The Rock.
Skipper
Dwayne
Rock.
Johnson. Dwayne Johnson, we have selected you for this role.
And I hope that as a meta joke, he hums "You're Welcome."
Yes, please. Oh, I love that song. Did you see the clip the other day of it was during some football conference thing. The coach was up there talking, and one of the reporters, I guess, was using their phone to record him. And so sitting up on the phone on the podium, and somebody called him, and his ringtone was "You're welcome."
Oh, I love that song, and I love that it's now kind of a meme on the internet. Like, if you go up on Google and you type "You're Welcome," there's someone made a video at it, and I will link it in the description because it makes me laugh. It's "You're welcome, but I want to die," and it's a beautiful edit.
Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic, and and it would bring back kind of that adventure explorer theme that we used to see a lot in movies and have kind of disappeared over the past decade. Things like Jumanji, like we have the Jumanji remake, or it's not really a remake, it's more like a sequel coming up. Stuff like that. Like we used to have a lot of movies like that. Like Hook was like that. Jumanji was like that. Just kind of that whole era of exploration and jungle safari, that kind of thing. And so I've always thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I've noticed that this is something like film people study. Like certain things come in waves. Like we had the wave where it was just nothing but westerns,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had nothing but disaster movies in the '90s.
That new movie Geostorm came out, and I have not heard a single good thing about it.
Because we got sick of those movies in the '90s. We had Twister, we had Earthquake, we had multiple like just things at once. We had the movie with the giant blizzard that took out the whole northern hemisphere.
Oh, Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, that one with baby
Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. I've seen that movie a grand total of 1/2 time. I haven't even seen it all the way through.
Oh, what stuck on me about the movie was just the fact that everything froze over and wolves were running through Central Park, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
No, that's totally inaccurate. There would be no wolves in Central Park because we killed them all.
They try to say that they escaped from the zoo, but I'm like, there are no wolves in Central Park Zoo. There aren't any. There are no lions either. There's like very few predators in that zoo because it's tiny.
Wait, are you telling me that Madagascar lied to me?
Yes, it's a big lie.
I love those movies. I unashamedly love those movies.
Everyone should know how I feel about those movies, considering when the third one was going to come out, Afro Circus
was everywhere. You posted Afro Circus everywhere.
It ruined my life. And this connects to Disney because I didn't know about Afro Circus until Beauty and the Beast came into theaters in 3D. And this is the animated one. And they had the trailer for Madagascar 3 before, and I saw it with our friend Kristen. We were watching it, and then the trailer came, and Afro Circus happened, and Kristen tells it the best, but I apparently bursted out crying, laughing, and I fell off my seat in the theater. And she was just like, well, how it's funny, but what? And my argument was like, I was in a very weird point in my life where sometimes you get those movies where just nothing brings you joy, and that was just like the little straw that broke the funny string in my brain, and I just lost my mind. And now it's still funny. Like now I hear it, and I still go, I still laugh. And my argument is now that Chris Rock just needs to voice more things, because I love Chris Rock. He has a really great inflection when he says words.
Mm-hmm. My cousin and I used to quote, there was this outtake from Rush Hour 2, and we used to quote it, and I know this is a kid-friendly podcast, so feel free to censor this if you have to, but I believe the quote was, damn, he ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3. We'd see somebody wipe out on the internet and we'd say that to each other.
Oh, Chris Rock. Oh, what about if it's The Rock and Chris Rock in Jungle Cruise the movie?
Oh my gosh, yes. We'll call it Rock Squared.
Oh my god, Disney, if you're listening, please, pretty
Please,
please.
yes. Just
Yeah.
cast them both.
They're like two like skippers who get lost on a great adventure.
Right, they got to protect some like their little crew, or not, I guess not crew, but their passengers. They have to protect the passengers. And the passengers can be like, there's some like hoity-toity lady in there who's like always on her cell phone and it was like I'm gonna sue you for this like the whole time.
Betty White needs to be in it.
Oh
Betty
my gosh, yes. Betty White is not allowed to die. I'm gonna cry if Betty White dies. Like, she needs to be in like 100 more movies.
Betty White's just like, you know, the stereotypical old lady on a cruise, and she just with her purse, she's like, where am I?
Right?
Oh, what a nice giant snake.
Every movie needs 100% more Betty White.
I could see her in like a Jungle Cruise movie, just like wandering around through the Amazon. There's a giant snake, and she's like, "Oh, you're pretty. What a nice dog."
Of course, you've got like the little hipster over there with the camera and trying to like keep the camera from getting wet. Maybe they're like vlogging or something the whole time.
Oh, I hope it's Jake Paul and he dies.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Maybe they could get like Markiplier on there or something. That'd be hilarious.
Markiplier can live, PewDiePie can live, and we're gonna drop all these names so I can tag them. So I'm gonna say Jake Paul like 5 more times. Jake Paul, Jake Paul, Jake Paul, and Jake Paul dies. I'm gonna put this in the meta tagging, so hopefully we get more views. Jungle Cruise, Jake Paul is in it, and he dies. He's vlogging, he acts like a dick, which is just a reflection of his actual character, and he gets like eaten by a lion. That'd be great.
Even though there are no lions in the jungle,
Well,
there's just one random lion.
He's that guy on the Jungle Cruise where they're like running up a pole and getting chased by a rhino. He gets chased by the rhino and he dies.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it could be a lion, and we could just pretend like there's lions in the jungle, just like Madagascar pretended that there's lions in Central Park Zoo.
Oh, like that's a whole separate podcast. I can argue about how inaccurate that movie is, considering that there's a bunch of seals and sea lions in Central Park Zoo, but we don't see one until the third Madagascar movie when they're in the circus. But the penguins are accurate. There are penguins in Central Park Zoo. There are penguins, so that's accurate.
And of course, this movie has to have like your stereotypical like millennial family where like the parents are basically us, and they've got like a 6-year-old kid, and they're just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I've turned into my mother. I'm a soccer mom. Identity crisis, you know.
Again, the kid's like the smartest one. The kid lives through everything.
Right. Well, you can't kill a kid. I mean, if you kill a kid, it's like automatically like a PG-13 rating, right?
But the kid like just outsmarts everybody. Just like, that's an anaconda. Don't go near that. Alright, how do you know that? My iPhone.
That would make a fantastic movie. Like, and then they can like go over like a waterfall, and the thing gets dumped over, and everybody has to like crawl out on the riverbank, and
the Rock's
leaders
like,
have to.
The Rock is like, it's the backside of water.
They all have to survive and make their way through the jungle to get rescued. That'd be pretty awesome.
I could see the Rock and Chris Rock playing off each other really well.
Yeah, I want to see this movie. Disney, make this movie, please.
Now, like,
I will give you my money. I will give you my money several times. Make this movie.
Delay all your other sequels. Just put this out instead. right now.
Right now, original content.
Make it
see
like,
our last episode.
Make it in your back lot. Just do it like right now. You know,
right.
Everything else can wait.
So another ride that I think needs a movie, and I think you mentioned that this one had some kind of animated short made with it with Zazu and Yaga. Well, that's not good enough. I need a Tiki Room movie with singing birds. I want animated singing birds. I want them to be colorful, and I want it to be all birds. I want it to be Rio, but Disney and better.
Arguably, that's kind of, sort of, you know, Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros, the package films. That's some singing birds. But they're kind of rapey.
And it's not the Tiki Room.
So I need to go off on these movies for a second, because those are some rapey birds.
I actually have never seen them, so
There's like, okay, so there's a lot of live action footage. Like, it's actually for, if back in the day, in like the 30s and 40s, when arguably people in North America really had no idea about South America, it's educational. Arguably, it's educational.
quotes. That's in quotes. That is in like 5 different quotes.
I mean, it shows some of the most, G-rated carnival I've ever seen in my life. But then at the same time, that was during a time period when, like, the sexiest thing was, like, a bowl of fruit on a head.
Right.
So I'm like, but Carmen Miranda's sister's in it. So that's a thing. And we do see that they get referenced in the parks at the Mexican Pavilion, and Epcot has the 3 caballeros on the boat ride.
You know what? I've never been on the boat ride in that. I didn't even know there was a ride in that. Now I feel like I missed out.
The ride used to be really boring, but now the 3 caballeros are on it, so it's a little bit less boring. But I having seen those movies and going on the ride, I'm like, those are the rapey birds. Like, Daisy, do you know where your Donald went?
So yeah, we need an actual, because Disney did great respecting the whole culture, Polynesian culture with Moana. So I would like to see them do Tiki Room and with birds and make it good and make it respectful and make it fun and colorful and lots of music.
And more The Rock.
More The Rock, yeah. The Rock should be in this movie too.
The Rock should be a bird.
Even if it's just like a Maui cameo, like please put The Rock in this movie.
Oh my god, there's just a tiki room and Maui just walks through. It's like, oh, yep, wrong movie.
Right. I mean, like, even in the background of a scene, like, you see these birds flying around in Hawaii, and Maui, like, washes up on the shore, then leaves. Like, says nothing, does nothing, you just see him there for a second, and
or at the very end, like, one of the birds transforms into Maui at the hook, and it's like, haha.
That would be nice. It also reminds me of the genie at the end of Aladdin, where he's like, ha ha ha, made you look.
Which would be a really, really cool thing, considering the animator for Mini Maui, the Tattoo Maui, animated the genie.
Oh, I didn't know that. That makes me happy.
I'm like,
I love Mini Maui.
Good job keeping that guy employed, Disney.
Right. Hey, if you got good animators, keep them and pay them well.
Keep them employed. They train all the kids coming in.
Right. So yeah, I think Tiki Room would make a fantastic movie. I think it'd be especially now that they've proven that they can handle Polynesian culture. I know the Hawaiian culture is slightly different, but they've proven that they can handle Polynesian culture well. So I think they could do the same with Hawaiian culture, especially now that they're doing that Hawaiian language Moana version.
Lilo and Stitch, like,
true.
the original intention of it for modern Hawaiian culture is scary accurate.
Mm-hmm. I completely forgot about Lilo and Stitch, which makes me sad because I was like obsessed with that movie in 8th grade.
But people who know modern Hawaii, if you actually look at the situation Nani and Lilo are in, that mirrors a lot of Native Hawaiians now, and it's very heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Right. So after Tiki Room, I think one of the ones we had thought of was Thunder Mountain.
Yes, and they just need to make that John Henry short a giant movie.
Yeah, just make it like, literally call it Thunder Mountain. Like, take the story of John Henry, maybe change it up a little bit so that it, fits a feature-length film, and call it Thunder Mountain and have him be working on this railroad that's called the Thunder Mountain Line or is going over Thunder Mountain, or make it about the building of the railroad. So you get kind of a Western vibe, but you also get like that railroad working vibe, and I think that would be really cool.
And we get more Black Disney characters.
Right, exactly. Animated Disney characters, which we do not have enough of.
Ooh, he could be voiced by the guy who's Black Panther. That'd be great.
That would be great. And then he has a sidekick who's voiced by The Rock.
I think The Rock is like, Disney, just keep The Rock on your payroll.
Please, just keep him around. Put him in everything. We'll be happy.
Oh my god, we need The Rock and John Cena in something together.
Oh my gosh.
But, like, John Cena wouldn't matter because you would be able to see him. Can't see him.
You can't see me, but I'm doing the little motion right now, and it makes sense.
John Cena's a chameleon.
John Cena to voice Pascal in Tangled 2.
It's just often like, you can't see me. One line. Disney, come on, just like throw us a bone, like a few.
Right.
Please, just if you're gonna make a sequel, make it good. Make original content that's good.
I mean, they got to appeal to the kids somehow. I mean, I would rather see a John Cena joke than dabbing. So
there is dabbing in Moana.
Wait, really?
Yeah, during You're Welcome, when he does that acid trip, and there's like people dancing in the background, they dab.
Oh my gosh, I totally missed that.
I didn't notice that until I was watching You're Welcome on YouTube, and someone in the comments is like, "Hey, during the acid trip, they dab in the background." I'm like, "Oh my god, they do."
Oh, that makes me happy. That's hilarious. Oh, and then let's see here. Oh, you brought up Phantasmic for a movie.
That's a concept that Disney needs to just roll with, considering they're doing so much to connect their universe, make it canon in a movie.
That would be fantastic. I would love to see all of the heroes team up to fight all of the villains. I would pay to see an hour and a half of that.
And people like try to argue that like Maleficent is the leader of the villains, and I'm like, no, it's Chernabog. Chernabog's the ultimate villain. The devil guy from Fantasia.
Oh, right.
People don't know his name, so I have to say like, the big Satan guy. His name's Chernabog. Night and Ball Mountain, where there's like demons and boobies. It's great. There's boobs in that bit, and they never cut it. You can put up on Netflix now. You watch Night and Ball Mountain. There's boobs in your face.
I'm going to have to go watch that now because I don't remember that.
I remember it because I remember we watched that movie in school, and the teacher was like, "Was that nudity?"
When I was a freshman, we watched the old 60s version of Romeo and Juliet, and there's a whole sex scene in it. My teacher ran up there with one of those manila folders and like slapped it over the TV, but she failed to realize that we could still see the outline of everything through the manila folder.
Oh, people don't realize it's like when like Fantasia was made back then. It's just you drew boobies. You just drew them. No one cared. No one cared.
Well, and I think that it's a little different because Fantasia is an art film. Like at its core, it is an art film, and it's more about the art of animation itself and what you can do with it, and the music than it is for children. I think
Fantasia was never supposed to end, and there's some like movies like Make Mine Music and stuff like that where it's like clearly those were just rejected Fantasia ideas.
Side note, Fantasia 2000, I don't remember what the bit is, or they have like Mother Nature flying over everything. That has always made me think of one of the cards from Cardcaptor Sakura. I've always been like, hey, that looks like the wood card or something.
I love Fantasia 2000 because also it has the flying whales.
Oh my gosh, the flying whales. Okay, so fun fact, I have been reading recently a series of books put out by Disney Hyperion, their publishing company. It is the Waterfire series. It's about mermaids, me and mermaids. But they reference that. They have a whale character. Don't remember his name. They have a whale character who can fly.
I was watching a thing about Hunchback, and when the Katzenberg pulled those guys in to make Hunchback, they were working on a concept about whales. And it never happened. And I'm like, they need to go back and finish that. What are you doing, guys? Finish it.
Where's our whale movie? That's actually a topic for another day. We have some discussions about whale movies.
But there's not enough of them.
Right. There's not enough ocean in general movies. Dear Disney, please make The Little Mermaid with live action and super cool tales from like all of the awesome, mind-blowing mermaid tale makers there are out there these days.
Disney needs to just really pay attention to the quality of their work they put out now.
Right. That's true. You're like, please don't make a Little Mermaid. Do not make a Little Mermaid. We're done. We're done with the remakes.
Just also when
I just want to see Pretty Tales.
The animated movie when she becomes human, it always messed me up because she was like naked, and I was like, she's like bottom naked. And I'm like, did they draw it? Did they draw it? Did freeze frame? Did they?
I'm sorry, our podcast just became completely not family friendly, but that's cool.
Well, little kids it messes little kids up. And also that VHS cover.
Oh my gosh, yes, I had to think about that. I was like, wait, oh yeah. Remember how we all thought we were so smart by knowing that in middle school?
And knowing the secret message in the Lion King stars.
Oh, I know, right? And they've been trying. I don't know if this is legitimate or if it's just them trying to cover it up, but it's supposedly just SFX for special effects.
I back that up considering animators do things so lovingly. They kind of drop that, like, Pixar always has the A113 gag in it.
Hmm.
So they do that. Like, Lucas says THX 1138 as a
Right.
homage to his thesis film. So I'm like, they do that. And we're completely off topic, but part of that is because there aren't that many rides left in Disney anymore. Like,
Not that are original.
I could go on and be like, Horizons needs to be a movie, but if I say Horizons, people after like 2000 or even won't know what the shit I'm talking about.
I don't. I have no idea because the first time I visited was in when was that? 2005, 2000. I think early. I think it was early 2005. Nope, it was 2004. First time I went was in 2004, so I have no idea.
And if there was a Matterhorn movie, I want to make it because I just want a movie about people drunk bobsledding. That's what the Matterhorn movie should be, just drunk bobsledding.
Well, we already have a bobsled movie, and if you have not watched that, that movie is hysterical.
Think with the Matterhorn now, that's what people do on it, considering now you can buy alcohol at all the Disney parks.
I have not been on Matterhorn since I haven't been to California.
It's overhyped. It's overhyped.
Oh man, and you wanted Journey into Imagination to be made into a movie.
Because I want them to keep Figment around. I'm really terrified that they're going to change that pavilion and Figment's going to go away forever. No one's going to know Figment.
See, I don't understand that. I feel like Figment's in it. Figment should be one of their mascots. Like
he was the mascot at Epcot for a long time.
Like I feel like at this point you would have shoved that into a movie by now.
Like there's a lot of like issues with that attraction, considering the original was such a beloved classic. Then they changed it, and there was no Figment, no Dreamfinder, and people were like, "What happened?" And they had to like fit Figment into that attraction, that redo, and people don't get it now. And I'm just like, you could just scrap it and go back to the original concept. That's always a possibility, but no.
Update it, like everything else in Epcot should be updated.
Not and updated, not replaced.
Right.
Like, can I just have an energy movie where it's just people going on an adventure through time and space and just tell us about energy? I just want that movie.
Let's partner with whoever made the Magic School Bus, and we'll just make that it. We'll just have the Magic School Bus plus the Energy Pavilion equals Disney Magic.
Oh, Spaceship Earth would actually like Epcot Future World. Like, they tried to make Tomorrowland a movie, and I argue that doesn't work because Tomorrowland never really had a set concept.
Mm-hmm.
Future World would be a great movie.
Oh, yeah. Like, the vibe I get from that is, like, Titan AE meets Disney.
Imagine, like, Tiny E, only more Tron.
Right, only more Tron. Everything needs more Tron.
Just Daft Punk scores everything.
Everything needs more Tron, and, everything needs more Korra, because I cannot for the life of me think of the actress's name right now.
Olivia
just sad
Wilde.
Because thank you. I was like, she's gorgeous. And I'm just like, I can't think of her name, but everything needs more of her.
I'm just like, Future World is such a set concept, considering, like, how they arrange, like, living with the land and the seas and space and communication. I'm like, that'd be a great movie.
Right? I mean, think about it. Like, you could have a whole colony on another planet, and it's called Future World, and they live in kind of what a version of what Epcot was originally supposed to be, and Spaceship Earth is what they arrived in, and so it's like it's pretty much the center of all of the community's activities.
What if it acts as like a sequel to WALL-E?
Oh, that would be cool.
Like, it's what happens like 100 years after the end of WALL-E.
But that would be another sequel.
To be fair, there are people that tie like every Pixar movie together in one universe.
That is true. That is very true. But yeah, I would love to see something like that. And then so you've got you've got Spaceship Earth, which is like the center of the community where like all the big events take place. And it could be a story of like some kids finding out about Earth and learning about Earth and maybe even endeavoring to go back to Earth.
And they find that the Earth is just a rock floating in space.
What did you do to this?
We're on a rock floating in space.
What did you do to this place? It's all trash.
There's a meme. I think it's the history of the world. It's like a flash video, and it's pretty great.
I have seen that multiple times. My husband and I are big fans of his videos. He does another really good one, the history of Japan, that's really funny too.
I like the Japan one. Japan one's great.
Oh, I'm making weird noises.
Ooh, beautiful ASMR.
I'm sorry, we can cut that part.
ASMR clatter.
I'm moving in my chair and I kicked something on the floor.
I'm just like dropping names. We're like meta tagging.
Well, I record in our craft rooms. There's a bunch of like crafting stuff that's all over the place right now.
It's kind of sucks because like studios and Animal Kingdom don't really have super original rides that would make for good movies. Like Animal Kingdom just kind of started out as like a safari park, but then it had dinosaur, which was a movie already. Dinosaur.
Yeah, dinosaur. And now they're all about like Avatar and stuff, which is also already a movie. Which it was. Avatar wasn't produced by Disney
At all. It was James Cameron. I think it was with like Paramount or something.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it wouldn't be the first non-Disney owned property to end up in a Disney park, but
Disney didn't even buy it yet.
Yeah,
Disney at least finally bought Star Wars and Lucasfilm.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They still don't own Indiana Jones, do they?
They own Lucasfilm, so they own part of Indiana Jones.
Okay. That was just a recent acquisition because, I mean, for the longest time, they didn't own that. Like, they had Indiana Jones, and they didn't own it. And, I mean, obviously, they had Star Tours, and they didn't own Star Wars at the time, and...
Disney owns Industrial Light and Magic, which kind of makes me really scared for the future of Industrial Light and Magic.
That is true.
ILM used to be legendary, now it's just another Disney property. I'm like, oh, well, they're not going to innovate it anymore.
Right. Well, a ride in Hollywood Studios that should have a movie, Rock and Roller Coaster. Make it like the ultimate teen movie.
I can't even, we're going to sound old because all I can think about, like, because kids now would not understand Aerosmith. I always be like, make it about One Direction. But I'm like, even that dates it, considering I don't think One Direction's a thing anymore.
Nope, they are not. They broke up actually 2 or 3 years ago.
I say, like, the only band I hear of is BTS, and that's a Korean band.
Right. DNCE is a thing now, and they have one of the Jonas Brothers in it, so that kind of ties in Disney.
It's like, what's really weird is, like, I see kids talking about BTS, and I'm like, I look at them, I'm like, it's a Korean pop band. I'm like, why are 13-year-olds talking about a Korean pop band? Where am I? Where am I?
Right? Why do these people who know nothing of the anime know about this band?
Or just, I'm like, it just shows we live in the future. We have American kids obsessed with a band, not even in an English-speaking country.
Yeah, I mean, and really, I think that kind of started with stuff like when Gangnam Style was so big. I was like, there's like 4 English words in this entire song, but everyone loves it.
Hey, sexy lady.
I think that's 3 of the 4.
I love that. I love that song, and I love Psy. Like, his videos are really good. He is a really good satire artist. That
was the last dance at my wedding, and I led a group dance of Gangnam Style. And the videos do exist, and if I can get one from some of my friends, I will show you.
I like that that's not like a wedding dance. It just shows how future the world really is now.
Right.
We're dancing to a Korean pop song. It's great.
Yeah. My final dance wasn't anything romantic. Now, to be fair, we actually ended our dance a little bit early because there was a miscommunication between me and the wedding planner. So for like 10 minutes, people were just standing around like, what? So my husband didn't get the one song that he had insisted on being, which was Helpless from Hamilton, but I got Gangnam Style, so
Oh, Hamilton. I was listening to that all last week. Disney, can we make that a movie?
Gangnam Style. We'll just take the music video and we'll make it into an entirely. I want to know more about Elevator Guy. I want Elevator Guy shirt.
Dude, is Lin-Manuel Miranda on Disney payroll still? Can we just have a Hamilton movie?
No, they're working on one. It's a thing.
American Adventure, Hamilton, the movie.
No, Hamilton is slated to become a movie.
Oh, I hope it doesn't get the right treatment.
Right. Please, original cast. Original cast.
Oh, and this problem, like, I'm trying to think of, like, rides that should be movies, and I'm like, oh, wait, that's not around anymore? Oh, that's not around anymore either. Oh, well, crap.
Right. Well, with Rock and Roller Coaster being a teen movie, all I can think about is, like, this is going to date me. B, nobody remembers this movie. But Sleepover with Alexa Vega, who was famous for being in Spy Kids.
She also was in Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Oh, that's right. Sometimes I forget that movie exists. I've only seen it once. But yeah, so she was in this movie where all the girls are like trying to get to this, I guess like a nightclub or something. I don't know. It's been a long time. It's a nightclub party, something with these boys. And I was thinking that would be hilarious, but let's do something like that. But they're trying to get to a concert and everything keeps going wrong. And like eventually, like it goes so wrong that they end up in front of the limo of the band that they're trying to go see and like get picked up by them.
That's such a classic teen movie, but it's going to get to the point where teens won't get it because at some point it's going to be irrelevant that bands arrive in limos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll start jumping out of helicopters or something.
Or now, just everything is digital and streaming. There, people lose the idea of just going to see a concert.
Right. It would just be, you can have a concert right in your room because it would be holograms or.
It's hologram Tupac.
I was about to say the same thing.
That should not be a movie. Disney, no. Disney, no.
I mean, unless it's a biography movie, okay. But otherwise, wait. Disney, no.
A biography movie about the hologram of Tupac?
No, about Tupac. And then you can mention the holograph Tupac.
I think the biography of the hologram would be more interesting. Following the life of the hologram, it just becomes... Wait, South Park did that already, never mind.
I was going to say all 3 years of that history.
South Park actually did a thing where the hologram of Michael Jackson took on a life of its own and just lived. That's all it lived.
Oh my gosh. This is going to get super off topic now, but hey, I mean, it's like, what, after 1 o'clock now? I mean, we might as well be having some drinks at this point. Like,
this is episode 4, and the reason why we're recording so late is I just got back from the West Coast, so my brain's in a different time zone still.
Right? And you've been on a plane for for technically 3 hours, but layovers and...
I've been on a plane for arguably 4 hours, and I'm just like, you know what, I just want to BS this podcast, because I care about this topic, but really all I care about is we just need to tell Disney Jungle Cruise needs to be a movie.
That's the whole point of this podcast, just make Jungle Cruise a movie.
It was slated to be a movie for the longest time, and it kept not happening. I'm just like,
Well, yeah, because they keep scrapping it so they can make more Marvel films.
Or more Pirates movies.
Right? Everything that makes money. The moment the Pirates movies stop making money, I feel like we will finally start to see the end of the sequel era.
When Pirates stops making money, when the Marvel movies stop making money.
Right, that's real. I feel like they should just wrap it up after Infinity War, but they won't.
I've heard that Steven Spielberg kind of called it that right now we're hitting kind of the way the Westerns were 30 years ago, when everybody just it was just Western, 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 and then it just died, and now you, like, never see a Western anymore.
Mhm.
He called it that's what's going to happen with superhero movies.
I agree. I think that that's exactly what's going to happen. So we just have to get through this phase, and then we'll get our Jungle Cruise movie.
Just keep waiting. I'm like, Betty White, hold on, Betty White.
Right? Just hold on. Just make it to 110.
Keep living, Betty White. Keep living. Whatever immortality juice you're drinking, keep drinking it.
Oh man, I think that was the last of ours. Was the Rock and Roller Coaster?
Yeah, because unfortunately, like, I've been to so many parks, and, like, there's some great rides. Like, Soarin', great ride. Not a good movie idea.
No, no. It'd be a great documentary. It'd be like we could call it Drones.
The drones, the movie.
We shot this on drones.
This makes me want to, like, get a drone and just, like, fly it around and play the Soarin' music.
That would be super cool. I'd love to have a drone, but
Fly over your geese friends and just go da da na na na.
I can lead the geese home myself. Gosh, you could not make Fly Away Home now because you would just lead them home with a drone. Like, it wouldn't be this brave girl who's up in her motorized hang glider who's bravely flying thousands of miles to take these geese home. It would just be somebody following along in a car with a remote control.
Goose drone.
Was that a Disney movie? Now I'm going to find out because I'm like, I don't think that was a Disney movie, but I'm about to find out if it was.
I think that might have been Paramount.
It probably was. Let me see.
I can argue though that Paramount and Disney for a while are kind of the same thing because Michael Eisner used to run Paramount.
Let's see, 96. Oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, Anna Paquin played the little girl.
What?
And Jeff Daniels was the dad.
Oh, I feel old.
Right? Release date September 13th, 1996. Oh, come on, but tell me what studio put it out. I'm actually going to have to go into the article for this. Let's see. Columbia Pictures. Does that even exist now? Oh, yes, it does.
Yes,
of course it does.
It's from Sony. Sony owns Columbia and TriStar.
So it was a Sony. I don't know if they own Sony. I don't know if they owned it back then, but it's a Sony movie. So no, not owned by Disney, which means I just wasted like 15 minutes talking about Fly Away Home and Canadian Geese.
But that's okay because I bet people our age who watch that movie are like, I feel ya. I feel ya.
They probably don't even remember Fly Away Home.
That was a movie that happened. Well, if you had like a VHS in the 90s, there was a trailer for Fly Away Home.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
VHS.
It was on everything. I saw a Tumblr post the other day where it was talking about the Shirley Temple box set that came out and how it was just slapped on every movie that came out ever during the 90s. Please buy these. We spent a lot of money remastering these. Please buy these.
I remember the commercial for all of the Paramount movies. It was
Yes.
It was the Happy Days song.
Oh wait, nope, wrong thing. I'm thinking of a much older trailer.
I remember that being on everything, especially if you got a Nickelodeon movie, because Nickelodeon and Paramount are owned by the same company.
I was actually thinking of a much earlier a version of that was on the original DVD, or not DVD, sorry. Before then, original VHS, I guess technically a re-release in the early 90s of Charlotte's Web, the animated one, which, by the way, I love that movie. It's so good. But it was like, they had like Blues Brothers and Airplane on it.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that trailer.
Yeah, that one.
Immortalized trailers.
Right.
That's the one nice thing about VHS.
Anyway, I think we're running a bit over time here. We're reminiscing about fun stuff from our childhood.
Yeah, and this goes to show just how unoriginal Disney is now. We're all like, here are things that could be movies that already are properties. Oh, wait.
Right.
And also, I wanted to express how much Jingle Cruise annoys the crap out of me. No, stop. Bad idea. Why did
I think
they put Santa hats on the gorillas?
I think we've reached the end of our podcast for this week. Again, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I just posted the most amazing picture of Disney in its full Christmas-fied glory since they are getting ready to film this week. And it's a 360 view of Main Street. You can see the Cinderella's castle down at the end. It's beautiful. You should definitely check it out. It's on our Facebook page, which that is Reimagining the Magic on Facebook. We are Reimagine the Magic on Twitter, and you can follow me at writer J.A. Yates, Yeates.
You can also obviously subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Breach, follow us on Stitcher if you're an audio listener, and for this week's question, we want to know, especially if you are international and if you've been to one of the parks in France or Japan or China, what attraction do you think would make a good movie? Do you agree with us that Jungle Cruise should be the next attraction to be a movie and it just needs, the rocks in it? Or do you have a better idea? We would like to know. So hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, and if we get responses that are really good, we will put them in a future episode.
Yeah, and if you've got a moment and you are on Stitcher, or if you're listening to us on iTunes or any other podcast platform that allows you to leave ratings, leave us a rating. We would really appreciate it, so we can get the word out there.
We're aware that the quality of our audio is still kind of We're working on it. We're kind of very amateur setup.
Yeah. We record this over Skype, so...
I try really hard in post. We're working on it. But if you have any feedback, any tips, please let us know, especially if you run a podcast yourself and you have ideas for how we can better the quality of the listening experience. Give us your feedback, and we will see you next week, and keep giving us ideas.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.